It looks like Codex Chaos Space Marines might be receiving another new datasheet. The Blackstone Fortress Chaos Cultists have been reboxed, and it appears that the Pyromaniac Firebrand might be jumping into the main rules as a mini character. Hello and welcome back to Warspecs Tactics, where today we're talking more Chaos leaks, these ones coming courtesy of Reddit, from a chap who appears to have been shipped a set of cultists with the new packaging, confirming that those Blackstone Fortress cultists are here to stay, and along with the rest of the cultist releases that are coming out with the new Chaos Codex, it does look like you'll be able to field this Firebrand miniature as its own independent character, or at least it's heavily implied by the datasheet. I do find it kind of interesting that the cultists are being reboxed like this, as it really wasn't all that long ago that they revealed that the cultists will be getting a whole bunch of new models. These guys are very much in the same style as the Blackstone Fortress cultists, and they were revealed at Warhammer Fest. It does imply that there'd both be options for this Blackstone Fortress cultist box and also this 10 model one. So I guess that implies there'll be 18 different sculpts for cultists now available, so a fair bit better support than they've had over the past few years. The cultist kit releases have been very weird, starting with those ones that came out in Dark Vengeance, and then seeing a whole cluster of weird mini releases since then, including that one where there was just 5 or 6 models in the kit. In any case, these certainly aren't new models coming, they're basically just the rebox of the Cultists of the Abyss box set, the ones that came out with Blackstone Fortress, and are basically 8 models, including a chap with a grenade launcher and heavy stubber, and of course the toasty Cultist Firebrand. Currently they're £19, just over $33 or €24, and it seems that the box has now been repackaged as a Cultist Warband, and it looks like the weapon options and the character upgrade are both escaping from Blackstone Fortress and going to be getting into the main Chaos Codex. I think one of the potentially interesting implications for this box is that there's 8 models there, including the Firebrands. In general in 9th edition, most of the time when they sell you a box of troops, you can field the models straight out of the box, so I think there's at least the possibility that you might be able to field a 7-man cultist squad from this. I guess it depends on where Games Workshop want to go with the datasheet. Admittedly, I'm not 100% certain whether or not that's going to be the case. If they are still having the box of 10 available, then it might be that these are just seen as top-up cultists if you want to have a bigger squad, and maybe allow you access to a few different bits of gear. If it were to be the case though, then I think it would be significantly more useful for Chaos Space Marines. I think it would be a slightly strange move, seeing as that quite a lot of squads are limited to higher numbers. I guess fielding them in 7s, which would be optimal in a lot of cases, would look like you're trying to praise Nurgle in every army. Still though, if they remained 5 points and you could field them in 7s, it could mean that you could get a screening cultist unit for just 35 points. Pretty nice for actions and sitting on objectives, and getting in the way and taking the bullets for the Chaos Marines. I think it'll be pretty interesting to see the actual Chaos Cultist datasheet once it's out. It will be at odds with that big Chaos leak that's so far been fairly accurate though. They do state that the cultist squads will probably be remaining at 10 to 20. Moving on to the actual datasheets in the box then, there's one here for the Cultists Warband and the Firebrand. At the moment we currently have a normal datasheet for cultists, plus we currently have a Legends one for Cultists of the Abyss, the one from Blackstone Fortress. I believe that one's technically no longer legal for matched play following a chapter approved. Now the two units are framed together as a Cultist Warband as per the new title on the box, a squad of cultists including a cultist champion, and also the Cultist Firebrands listed independently. It does make me wonder whether or not it might be a case, say, like Genestealers and the Broodlord, where if you take a squad of cultists, you might be able to take a Firebrand mini character choice along slotless. The cultist stat lines seem to be the same as the ones in the Blackstone Fortress Cultists of the Abyss unit, and basically have the same weapon options as they do. The stat line appears entirely unchanged from regular cultists, the auto guns are the same, but it still is kind of interesting for cultists potentially gaining access to a fair few more weapon options. There's a profile for a grenade launcher here, which previous cultists couldn't take. For some reason they list the crack grenade launch profile at 12-inch range, but I strongly suspect that that's just a misprint, as it's equal to the standard grenade launcher in every other way. It appears that they still seem to be equipped with frag and crack grenades as they're modelled onto the unit, so that does imply that just because these models get the frag and crack grenades, it could mean that cultists in general will acquire them for free. Not really that much of a boost, but when you're only firing with an auto gun anyway, a crack grenade is a fair step up. And then the cultist champion gets the option of taking a stub carbine. That's 3 shots at 18 inches, strength 4, AP 0 and damage 1. Again an option from the Blackstone Fortress datasheet, but not one that current Chaos cultists can take, So again, that will be another interesting little option on the Sergeant if you wanted to up their firepower by a little bit. It does have me just a little bit suspicious that these have just been reprinted from the Blackstone Fortress datasheet, even if they have done so with the new fancy 9th edition formatting. I guess there's at least the possibility that these still might be old rules despite coming out in the shiny new packaging. Again, I would guess we will eventually have to wait and see when the Codex drops. Finally, we've got this Cultist Firebrand, who does have his own section of the datasheet, and again his stat line and profile seems to be quite similar to the Legends datasheet from Blackstone Fortress, hopefully implying that this rather cool model is now going to be its own little mini character choice in Codex Chaos Space Marines. I guess having another little support choice would certainly fit the theme of the current releases. They do seem to be going pretty heavily on the mortal followers in this update, between all the traitor guardsmen and weird mutated cultists and that cool command squad. In any case, his current profile is basically the same as the previous one. He moves 6 inches, hits on 3s, is a big meaty guy by mortal standards, with strength and toughness of 4, 3 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 6 and a 4+ armor save, and that great big flamer previously called a Hellfire Torch is 8 inches, assault d6, strength 5, AP -1 and damage 2, so basically a heavy flamer but with damage 2. My guess is that in the final datasheet he'll probably at least have a 12-inch range on that. It'd seem a bit weird for him to be lagging behind the vast majority of flame weapons in 40k, and previously value-wise he was a little bit questionable at 35 points, maybe not too worth it unless he gets some sort of leadership ability, maybe making cultists run away a bit less or something. Though I did quite like the way that he had a explodes rule where you roll a dice on a 5+, you deal immortal wounds to everything within 3 inches. I guess if any single infantry model is going to explode, it's probably the guy who's carting around a whole bunch of fuel and setting it on fire. In any case, I think it's pretty fun that they're keeping this guy around and is not going away anywhere. As cultists go, I think he's a pretty cool model. So let me know what you think of these leaks then. I think it's interesting enough news in itself that they are keeping selling the Blackstone Fortress cultist, which does imply that their rules are going to be present to some extent in the new codex, but I am a little bit skeptical as to whether or not these datasheets printed here are going to marry up with the new ones. I have a feeling that any war gear choices that they can take are going to be represented in some way. It'd be pretty weird to sell cultists with grenade launchers and after a Chaos Codex revision still have no way to field them. But I am just a little bit skeptical of these just because they are in no way different from the Blackstone Fortress datasheets, so maybe when we get to the final ones they will be rewritten in some form. Anyway, look forward to hearing from you Chaos players down in the comments below. Does the thought of a few of these guys setting the enemy's world ablaze sound like a fun thing to you? Look forward to hearing your take on these rules. If you've enjoyed the video, feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics, or I'll certainly keep up with the Chaos Codex leaks and previews as they come out. Looking forward to talking plenty more Heretic Astartes over the coming weeks. Finally, if you have been enjoying all the videos on the channel, I would just like to mention that Auspex Tactics does have a Patreon page, and you can find that down in the video description below. Making all the 40k videos does take a fair amount of time and effort, and if you are enjoying a lot, then any support is enormously appreciated. Channel patrons do get a fair few advantages, seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things come next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with a chance to win some big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you or you'd just like to help support, then the link is down in the video description. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.